I feel like it's become a tradition at this point for me to make a video about the new Pokemon content every time something new comes out, and with the release of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I had some thoughts, so I wrote a big long script criticizing it, but then I read it over and then I played the game and I had some fun, so I figured I should be a bit more constructive this time. Today I'll be telling you how I would make Pokemon better. Now, I'm going to keep it reasonable. A lot of people, now they would ask for a giant Pokemon MMO with every Pokemon ever and every region you get to pick where you start and all that, and although that would be extremely cool, it's also never going to happen. The changes I'm going to propose are actually extremely realistic and could be implemented in the next main Pokemon game if the game directors wanted to, which they probably don't. Anyway, disclaimer, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how hard these changes would be to implement, but look, this is the world's highest grossing franchise of all time. It shouldn't really have too many budget restraints, so I'm confident they're gonna be able to make it work. Now, part 1 is the biggest one, and it's gonna be difficulty settings. The problem with Pokemon right now is that Pokemon is less fun the better you are at it. Now, you might think, well, obviously something is more fun the first time you try it. The first time you watch your favorite movie's gotta be the best, right? Well, then, explain this. This is where great games can stand out. A well-designed game rewards you for being good at it. It's satisfying to play, and when you feel like your time is well spent and you get something out of it. So what do you get for being good at Pokemon? You get bored, and I feel like my knowledge of the game is a burden that makes me enjoy it less. Overcoming something difficult, feeling a challenge, and having a sense of accomplishment gives you a satisfying and memorable experience. Now, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are especially bad with the difficulty being too low, with no other real options. The team experience share is on from the very start, with no way of turning it off. These games are very faithful remakes to the original Diamond and Pearl, but this edition makes you feel consistently over-leveled without any real options. I was watching another streamer play this game in a hardcore Nuzlocke, which is permadeath, and there are self-imposed level caps for every major battle. The streamer had 3 different teams of 6 Pokemon she had to cycle through to try and keep them all below the level cap. If you need to use a wonky workaround like this to try and keep your team from being overpowered, I'd say that's probably a problem with the difficulty. Now, earlier I said Pokemon is less fun the more you know about it. Now, I'm risking sounding a bit arrogant about Pokemon knowledge here, and I really don't mean to come across that, but I'm just saying that after playing Pokemon a lot over the years, I really do understand the Pokemon mechanics really well, such as nature, base stats, abilities, and all that stuff. If you have no idea what I mean, the short version is basically I understand a Pokemon's strengths and weaknesses and how to play around with that. Now, when I play the Pokemon games, if I catch a Pokemon that is not optimal with bad natures or ability, I'm gonna feel like I'm not really playing it right. Surely I should catch a different one with better stats, right? Well, no, I shouldn't, because the game is so easy that it doesn't actually matter at all. I find it really hard to put this feeling into words, but I just feel like I know I'm not playing the game well, but I also have no incentive to play any better. I want challenging and interesting battles, so maybe I should be finding the Pokemon with the worst stats and training them as some kind of self-imposed hard mode. So that's my solution, a real hard mode. Leave the games as they are for new players, or for casual players just coming back for some nostalgia. I've got no problem with that, but give us a difficulty option for people who want more. I'll be getting into my suggestions of difficulty options later in the video. It's pretty obvious that Pokemon players would love a hard mode. There are so many challenge runs on YouTube. It used to just be Nuzlocks, but now people are doing crazy and extreme stuff, you know, like shiny only, level cap, no items, monotype, permadeath, hard mode, I don't know. It's crazy. Fans are desperate for interesting ways to play their favorite games, and this would give us that. I think what people like about these challenge runs is that it's challenging them to come up with unique and novel strategies for every battle, almost like a puzzle. You know, it's fun. Here's a few ways I would implement the difficulty into Pokemon myself. My first idea is a very easy one, and that's just limiting the items you can use out of your bag. Using potions, revives, and X items mid-battle can make things pretty simple. You could bring 2 Bidoofs into a battle with 999 revives, and then just use a revive every turn until your opponent runs out of PP and kills himself. I mean, this is a stupid and extreme example, but you get the point. So I would limit how many bag items you could use every battle. Some battles could be no items at all. Some would maybe make the maximum 3, I don't know. This would add an extra element of strategy and would make you carefully consider if something really needs that item or if it's worth saving. Now my second idea is also pretty easy, and it would be a level cap. This would mean that you either wouldn't be able to bring in Pokemon that are over a certain level, or you could make it so they get scaled down to a certain level for the battle. This would mean you can't just grind up and level up the same Pokemon for every single battle, and you would have to come up with a plan. Maybe you would have to change moveset, maybe you would even have to catch and train up a new Pokemon from a nearby area. Now my next idea is probably the most important one, but also probably the hardest to implement, and that is trainer AI and harder gym battles. I wish the trainer AI was more challenging and also a bit more varied, especially in significant battles like gym leaders and evil team bosses. Trainers, firstly, they just need to switch Pokemon more often. They almost never do it, and if you've ever seen competitive singles, you will know there's a lot of switching. I mean, some people would say too much, but that's not really the point. Having a good matchup is just really, really powerful. It would also be good to see specific trainers get given specific strategies to use. There are a lot of interesting and somewhat gimmicky strategies that could take the player by surprise. What if one gym leader set up entry hazards like spikes and stealth rocks, and then used moves like Roar and Dragon Tail to force your Pokemon out and take a lot of damage on the way in? What if there was a dedicated defensive Elite Four team member who brought Pokemon like Blissey and Skarmory? And conversely, what if there was an insane offense team that only used fast and hard-hitting Pokemon, holding items like Expert Belt, Focus Sash, and Life Orb? Maybe someone could throw a cheesy even level 1 Aeron strat just to mix things up. If you gave important trainers more advanced AI along with strategic themed teams, I think it would not only be more fun to play against, but it would also feed into the storyline of these people actually being expert battlers. How many times have you seen a gym leader get gassed up by an entire team as a genius strategist for them to play like they're just spinning a roulette wheel and picking a random move every time? Think about this, your rival's AI and strategies would advance as the story progresses and they learn. I'm getting excited just thinking about these possibilities, and I could go on all day. Leave a comment and let me know how you would increase the difficulty in a hard mode for a more complex but still fair game experience for the seasoned players, or just people looking for a challenge. Pokemon has surprisingly high skill ceiling for strategies, but you never need to use this knowledge. It's fun to think about what would make a fun and fair challenge in a single player playthrough. Just an editor's note here, I finished Brilliant Diamond on stream after writing this, so after doing the Elite Four, I'm going to say this last part was actually really good difficulty-wise. The Elite Four and the Champion had really strong held items, they had good natures and stat spreads, and they actually had pretty good movesets with some interesting moves. The battles were really good and so exciting for me to do on stream with everyone, and it was exactly what I think the final boss should be. I've got no complaints on these last battles, but I just wish the gym leaders and evil teams got the same kind of glow up treatment to make the whole game more challenging and exciting the whole way through. Anyway, back to the video. Alright, it's time to move on from difficulty. I've gone on for way too long, I feel like you get the point. More options is always good, and group XP share being permanently on is just inexcusable. Anyway, time to move on to my other plans. Now I would definitely streamline the start of these games. Now Sun and Moon were the worst offenders, but they all kind of suck. The first 45 minutes is just walking between cutscene to cutscene and learning stuff about the game. It destroys any motivation to replay the game, and it doesn't really achieve anything. Good gaming tutorials don't feel like tutorials. They don't railroad you and force you to go from A to B just to read text boxes. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a great example. It has a huge tutorial area to explore, and it sets you free within it to go and learn for yourself. It's actually fun to get started. But if they're against this free-form theory of learning, being afraid that new players will get frustrated, you could just add better animations and voice acting to these cutscenes to make them a little bit more bearable. The characters just look so soulless, and it's so hard to give them any personality just through reading text boxes. To compare it to Breath of the Wild again, the voiced characters are so much more memorable with distinct personalities compared to everyone else. I wouldn't say you have to voice every single NPC because that'd be a huge mission, but the important battlers and story essential people would make such a huge difference for staying invested. Something that people don't really talk about that I would love to add is more hidden and optional areas. Finding a hidden area is awesome. Some memorable ones from the past Pokemon games have been the Fugo Ironworks, Pacifilog Town, and the Power Plant in Kanto. It rewards you for exploring with different items, wild Pokemon, and a bit of extra training. It makes the world feel expanded, mysterious, and real, rather than just being a linear path through 8 gyms. Sure, you can skip them, But if the game did have a hard mode, maybe you would need a Pokemon you can only find in one of these areas, or you could use the extra training and knowledge from battling people there to give you an edge in upcoming battles. With the game being so easy, I'll admit that optional areas feel completely pointless, aside from maybe completionism's sake and finding a special item, but they're just so cool for the exploration aspect that I would just love to see them more. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that they would add a better storyline to the game. Now, Pokemon hasn't ever really been a thrilling story, and I think that people enjoy the game for other reasons than that, but sometimes the stuff Pokemon throws you is just horribly lazy. Some memorable moments for me that have been exceptionally bad is people blocking your path because they're dancing for no reason. In Sword and Shield, Team Yell being the evil team because they're Marnie stans and that's it. And also Master Mustard sending me on a fetch quest because he pretends to forget something which he had all along. I'm not asking for the next Lord of the Rings or anything epic, but this lazy stuff just makes the games feel consistently like nothing matters and there's never a sense of urgency. And that's it. There are some easy ways that I would improve the next Pokemon game. Like I said, I tried to keep it reasonably realistic without destroying the core Pokemon experience that Game Freak seems determined to stick to. I can't really see how these changes would make much of a negative impact, and like I said, I'm sure Pokemon can afford it. Let me know what you would do in the comments, and feel free to share this video with a friend, so hopefully I can get some traction and we can see some changes happen. I love Pokemon, but things are getting boring and I would love to see a change. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you guys next time.